and Meghan McCain asked this question today. Go to my iPad, please, Henry. So this is what Meghan McCain, she tweeted today. She tweeted, genuine question. When Beto and Stacey Abrams lose tomorrow, how many more elections will they run in the future? How much more money will be given to them? How many more big magazine spreads and cameos on TV shows? At what point does winning start mattering to Democrats? Well, you know, I had to respond to that, and I did in a series of tweets. So allow me to explain it here and unpack this thing for y'all. And this is what I said to Meghan, which clearly you would think somebody who is constantly invoking her dad's name, who was a United States Senator, would have some understanding of politics. You would think somebody who has worked at Pivot, Fox News, MSNBC, The View, has a column, has written books, has had a radio show, has gotten all of these political jobs, she would have any understanding of basic politics or politics 101. So this is what I had to explain to Meghan on social media, because she clearly has no clue about politics. In 1984 and 1988, Reverend Jackson ran for president of the United States. And there were people who were saying, Jesse, why are you running? He was hearing the phrase, run, Jesse, run. It followed Harold Washington being elected mayor of Chicago in 1983. And so he runs in 1984 and is traveling around the country. And then he runs again in 1988. And what people don't understand is that Reverend Jackson's run in 1988 led to Ron Brown becoming the first black chair of the Democratic National Committee. That led to them changing the rules of the Democratic Party from winner take all to proportional wins, because folks said, wait a minute, it's grossly unfair that Reverend Jackson was not able to win delegates, even though he was winning many of these places where a lot of black folks were. And so the rules were changed in the Democratic Party because Reverend Jackson dared to run for president. And so what ended up happening 20 years later, a then senator from Illinois, Barack Hussein Obama, runs for president. People talk about, how Obama won the Democratic nomination, but everybody forgets that Obama lost the major states in 2008 to Hillary Clinton. She won California. She won Texas. She won Ohio. She won Pennsylvania. Because Michigan and Florida moved their states, then their votes were not included. So fact of the matter is this here. If Reverend Jackson does not run in 88 and then change the rules, Obama is not president. Reverend Jackson didn't win in 1984 and 88, Meghan, but Obama did in 2008. See, Meghan, winning is not always when you win a race. It's when other folks are the beneficiaries of you running. So you're critical of Stacey Abrams running and Beto O'Rourke running. And let's just assume, because first of all, the votes have not been fully cast and not been fully accounted for. But let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, Meghan, that Stacey Abrams and Beto O'Rourke don't win the gubernatorial races tomorrow. What you don't understand, Meghan, is that by Beto O'Rourke running and losing by 2.5 points to Senator Ted Cruz, he actually energized the entire Democratic base. And so when he was running, there were people who were down ballot who actually won their elections because of the turnout of Beto O'Rourke. See, Meghan, you don't know jack about Texas politics. I do. I'm actually from Texas. I'm born and raised in Texas. I'm still a registered voter in Texas. Mama and daddy, 75. Mama be 75 in a couple of weeks. So they have worked political campaigns. See, I don't just yell, my daddy, my daddy, my daddy, like you do. But I do understand politics, Meghan. And what you have to understand, Meghan, is that Democrats used to be in control of all statewide positions in Texas. John Tower, Republican, was the first Republican elected statewide in Texas since Reconstruction. George W. Bush beats Ann Richards for governor. When he wins a second term, they win all statewide positions. They've since run the entire state. What happened when Beto runs, Meghan? Dallas County flips from red to blue. 18 black women run for judge in Harris County, Houston. I helped campaign for them. And they win in 2018, Meghan. What then happens? Black DA in Dallas County, black DA in Houston. All of a sudden, Democrats began to win Dallas County, Harris County, Bexar County, Travis County, because all of a sudden of the amount of money Beto raised and the organization and the infrastructure that he put in place, and because he visited every county in Texas. So he did what the previous folk who ran for governor wouldn't do, and that is travel the state. And so, Meghan, if you actually know anything about politics, which you clearly do not, and I know you called it a serious question, or a generous, or whatever you called it, then you have to understand that there are times when you lose, but you win. Because what Beto O'Rourke has done by running twice, U.S. Senate and now governor, he literally is reviving a moribund Democratic Party that frankly has been demoralized the last 20 years. See, they thought in 2008, when there was all of this energy and excitement around Clinton and Obama, the party was ready to come back. They said, man, this is a shot, because so many folks were energized. But guess what happened? Obama wins the nomination, becomes president, and he forgets Texas. He only comes to Texas to pick up campaign checks, and he left. They literally never organized Texas. So for 8 years of the Obama presidency, Texas wasn't organized. In 16, wasn't organized. And all of a sudden, Beto actually runs. And all of a sudden, now Texas get organized. Now let's go to Georgia. What happens there? Stacey Abrams is sitting there in Georgia's House. And they're saying, y'all, we can win Georgia if y'all put money in Georgia. Democrats said, no, we ain't wasting our time with that. Meghan, you think I'm lying? 2012, Meghan, I'm standing outside of CNN waiting to go on. Who is standing right with me? Congressman Chris Van Hollen. Who is Congressman Chris Van Hollen? At the time, he was a member of Congress of the House from Maryland. He was the chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. I say to him, Chris, if y'all invest money in Texas and register those 2 million eligible but unregistered Latinos, and y'all register those 800,000 black folks in Georgia, y'all can win. Chris Van Hollen tells me to my face, Meghan, none of those are red states. I said, no, they are red if you never organize them. So what does Stacey Abrams do? Along with Raphael Warnock, along with other folks, they create an apparatus to do that. They change the laws, make it a part of getting your driver's license. All of a sudden, the number of unregistered people in Georgia drops to below 2%. And then what happens in 2020? Warnock, Ossoff, Biden, Harris. See, Meghan, when you run, it's not always about whether you win, but do you have a larger mission or a plan where others can win? So even if Stacey Abrams loses tomorrow in Georgia, even if Beto O'Rourke loses tomorrow in Texas, Meghan, what they have done is left a blueprint that they can now hand to the next Democratic candidate. They can now point to the people down ballot who've been able to win, and they can say, these are the ways that we can win in the future. See, Meghan, some of us were not born into political families. Some of us were not born with silver spoons. Some of us actually had to read and study and talk to people and interview people And Meghan, if you leave your comfortable, rich home in Arizona and actually spend some time on the ground, you will understand what I'm talking about. Jason, go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, back to the point about Democrats going after college-educated people. Democrats used to be the union party. We used to be the party that got their hands dirty, and now they're just going after college-educated people. It's a huge mistake, and that's why we're effectively called elitist. And that's something that you wouldn't think would stick, but it does, because you've got strategists out there with elite strategies, and it's ridiculous. Now, you would think Meghan McCain would be intimately knowledgeable about 2008 in particular, since her family was pretty involved in that, but obviously she doesn't. She wasn't, and obviously she also is not aware of the fact that Richard Nixon, I believe, ran for president 3 times. I think it was 3 times a charm before he actually won. And of course, that was in her party. So this idea that you have to win every election and you can't come back, first of all, I would tell Republicans, tell that to Trump, who's going to announce that he's running again after being thoroughly defeated by 74 electoral votes and 8 million individual votes in the last election. He's still going to run again. And unfortunately, he has a decent shot of winning. I hate to say that, but it's true. So this idea that you can lose, an election and then therefore your career's over is ridiculous. That's like a boxer getting beaten and all of a sudden, I lost my fight, I can't ever fight again. That's ridiculous. That's not how politics work. We've seen people come back and sometimes come back more than once and then finally win because their message finally resonates, whatever that message is. So, I mean, it was an absurd tweet by an absurd person. I don't think anyone in the media necessarily misses Meghan McCain, but hey, she's still out there making her voice heard.
Well, the reason I thought that was important, Renita and Julian, Renita, I'll go to you first, is because I've heard other people say that. And I think a lot of people just simply don't understand politics and don't understand when somebody's running, they're not necessarily just running for them. They serve a purpose that's actually bigger than them.
Yes, but Roland, you see, this whole thing is a great example of what I was talking about before. Mediocre white person, who is Meghan McCain, floated up for no reason, no good reason at all, as somebody who should be weighing in on and telling us who should be allowed to run and who should not. She has done nothing except have a father who was elected. But meanwhile, she thinks that her opinion should count with as much weight as people who, like myself and yourself, who've actually done the work. I think the better question here is, why is she counting their pockets? Why is she counting their opportunities? Like, she should not have anything to say about what these people choose to do if they do not win their elections. But to your point, everything that you said was correct. People really don't understand what happens with the impact of somebody running a campaign where you're galvanizing a lot of folks. Elections are connected, and sometimes you may lose, but lots of people may win. And that is exactly what we saw happen in Georgia when Stacey Abrams lost in 2018. There were DAs across the state that got elected. There were all types of local county commissioner seats that flipped, that some of them never even had Black representation in their entire history. They had historic elections because of Stacey being at the top of the ticket. So, I mean, again, Meghan, prime example of what I was talking about before, mediocre white people talking loud and wrong and being elevated for absolutely no reason.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Know your voting rights. If you are unsure where to vote or don't know if your polling location has changed, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE. For more information, call or text 1-866-OUR-VOTE.
I am Letitia Hill Gadet, owner of Ottendorf Laboratories. In America, our freedom of speech and the right to peacefully protest is a wonderful thing, but faith without works is dead. Will you take souls to the polls? If you don't vote, all of your activities were done in vain. I am an ordained minister, a presiding elder in the AME Zion Church, a wife, a mother. I am spending my time and my resources to encourage you to vote.
Paid for by Ottendorf Laboratories. We've got to stand up. Republicans are banning abortion rights, tearing down democracy, blocking progress. But when Democrats stand together, we win. Because we voted, Democrats stood up for black lives, voting to ban police chokeholds, stood up for black women, putting one on the Supreme Court, stood up for our families, lowering cost of health care and prescriptions and capping insulin, and stood up for millions by slashing student debt. This November, let's stand up together and keep making progress.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?